Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Red Menace TV here on Proview Network's Leroy Lucero, along with Michael Carlisle.
What's up?
Where's Alden?
Who?
Right, exactly. We got Josh today tickling the buttons over there, and no Alden, I guess, you know.
I always thought Alden was like a homeless person who had snuck in here. And they were just afraid to have him leave.
Well, he did get a haircut a couple of days ago.
He
So,
did.
I mean, maybe, you know, he looked a little, he cleans up well. But honestly, lot of, you know, it's Championship Saturday. As far as Proview Networks and high school football.
Oh, absolutely.
So the Proview crew is going to be all over the state covering these games. And then high school basketball season starts. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on here at Proview Networks. So I think Alden got a day off to go hang out. What did you, as a homeless, one of the shelters, I guess?
I don't know.
I don't know what Alden's doing. I know he plays the Pokemon Go, so he might be doing raids all across the city right now.
Here's what I've learned. Next week, I will not be on camera at all. Alden will make sure he does not put me on camera as payback. Yeah.
You'll pay the price.
I'll be talking, but the camera will just be on you, and you'll be like,
So does that mean you're going to be standing like right behind me like this?
Maybe, yeah, I'll just be leaning over.
We'll have that. Hey, well, other than Alden, enjoy your day off. You deserve it. You earned it. It was a long season in high school football.
Absolutely.
And this year in high school football, there was a lot of, I would call them semi-blowouts. They weren't blowout enough so they'd end the game, but they were blowouts so the games weren't necessarily that exciting because there were some really good teams. In fact, I think this is the first time in a long time where you have two undefeated teams playing for the Blue Trophy in 6A. Then you throw in some of the other schools that were around, and it was just like those 34-point blowouts, just enough so that way they won't end the game. They just prolong it.
Kind of like college.
Well, local college, but being on the losing end of that is once again, and that's a good segue. I like that. The University of New Mexico finishes another disastrous year, and I don't know how else to put it, but disastrous year by, shocking, getting blown out by Wyoming, 31-3 last Saturday. You were at all these games. You witnessed all these blowouts, and as I'm looking at the, well, let's look over this. Fresno 38-7 lost to Fresno State, 61-19 against Utah
I think we all know
State.
the San Diego State game was kind of close.
That was close, 31-23. That was close. 42-24 at Air Force.
Look, it's of
45-14
It's
at
of
Boise.
no consolation to anybody, but you were a first down away from winning the San Diego State game.
Yes, so close.
Yeah, I know. The Air Force game, you were down 10, you got the ball back, you went 3 and out. No, look, it was a disappointing season for sure. I don't think there's any way to just sugarcoat that. Back-to-back 3-9 seasons, back-to-back years where you lose your last 7 games. And that's one of the challenges that Lobo football and the athletic department is going to have going into this offseason and next year, because you have absolutely, and if I'm wrong, you chime in.
Sure.
You have nothing to build on off of this past season to go into the offseason and next year.
The past 2 seasons, you have nothing to build on. And I think, we discussed this now. Before the season started, Michael, we were talking, and I said, if this team doesn't go 3-1, Davey should be done. I said it then. I still believe it now. They didn't go 3-1. They went 2-2 as they lost to Liberty. Here at home. I mean, Liberty's okay, I guess. I mean, they're okay.
You shouldn't lose to Liberty at home.
You should not lose to Liberty at home. I agree wholeheartedly. But, and I know that Davey's been firing out the excuses. My recruiting budget's been cut. We had
Which is true, by the way.
We had all these super injuries
which is true as well. But still, every team has injuries, right?
Every team has
also,
injuries.
every program at UNM had cuts.
Yes.
Look, and he's right. They do need to put more money into football. They probably need to put more money in all sports. But you don't have the money to do that.
You don't have money.
So you have to do the best of what you got.
And Nunez did try to make the move to cut certain sports to try to save more money and maybe put it into other sports and to pay back debt.
No, right. It was not to put it in other sports. It was trying to balance your athletic budget, because look, it's no secret, and I'm not piling on, but they haven't been able to do that on anything that remotely resembles a consistent basis over the last 10 or 11 years. So, yeah, it wasn't to cut those sports to put that money in other sports. It was to cut the sports to try to balance your books.
Well, you can't put more money into other sports till you stem the arterial bleed that's been going on, the hemorrhaging that's been going on monetarily. But I guess, once again, the politicos are getting involved, and they want to keep these sports that bring nothing, no revenue, none. No. They have no chance of bringing revenue ever.
But that doesn't mean they don't have a place.
Oh, they have a place. There's a place. It's called the New Mexico United. The New the New Mexico Runners, Albuquerque Soul. You have a ton of club programs as far as soccer here within the state. You have youth programs. You have high school football. There's plenty of place for soccer fans to go to. You know where they're not going? They don't go to University Stadium to go watch soccer. They haven't.
Well, they don't play at University Stadium. You're thinking about football, where they don't go to watch football.
Well, yeah, football. I mean, they get 1,000. Okay, and those are free and very discounted tickets. All I'm saying is, I don't understand why this idea that we have to hold on to this. There's only 3 sports in this state, three in this state that can make money. Obviously, men's basketball, and they've carried, they've made the mother load forever. Okay. And then you have the potential of women's basketball, I believe. I believe women's basketball can make money in this state. They have before. Now, you're not going to get rich off it, but it can happen.
Sure.
And then there's the untapped potential, which has been untapped since the history of athletics here in New Mexico, and that's football. Now, they're not going to get rich, but you can make money.
Sure. And I don't disagree with what you said there, but that doesn't mean any other sport is no longer relevant just because you can't make money on it. I mean, that's not the way collegiate athletics works.
Well, actually, that's not the way collegiate athletics worked. I think we have to look at the new world and the way it's set up now with television contracts and that sort of thing. And I think attendance is going to change, and I think it has changed across the country. It's all about the television contracts and the conferences that you're in to get the television contracts than it is people that actually attend the games. The only way UNM stays in this conference, it doesn't have a great television contract, but it has one. And even with Learfield, the only reason Learfield would stick around is because they are part of the Mountain West Conference and you have that contract. I don't know if that's necessarily the same case if UNM were to drop football, get bounced out of the Mountain West Conference and go to the WAC or whatever.
Right. That's why there is absolutely no consideration to drop football.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, I know that and you know that, but I put it out there because how many people have, I don't know, how many calls do you get on a weekly basis talking about dropping football or
dropping football? Not many.
Not many.
I get the occasional email, but look, that's just not realistic, and it's not an option.
Right, but I'm just pointing it out. I mean, it just because it's like there's a lot of people that have these unrealistic ideas these days. But let's go to the
wackadoodles. That's what I call them.
I like that. So Here's a wackadoodle thing. Bob Davie stays, goes, comes. Do they give him another 2 years to try to?
That's not a
ride the
wackadoodle.
Titanic?
It's a legit question. I think he stays.
Yeah, and simply because UNM doesn't have the money to pay him.
UNM doesn't have the money to pay him. I don't know for a fact that anybody over there wants to get rid of him. Now, I'm not saying they don't either, but I don't know that. But here's the bottom line: before as you're considering whatever you're going to do, where are you getting $1.3 million from?
Yeah, and here's the thing: we had this same question with men's basketball when they fired Craig Noodle, or whatever his name is.
Craig Neal.
Yeah, thank you. Now here's the difference. UNM counts on men's basketball to make them money. They need the fans there because that's where the money make. Lobo football doesn't necessarily need Lobo football to make money. So you had to get rid of Craig Neal, right? You had to because fans weren't going to the games anymore. Well, guess what? Fans aren't going to football either, but do they really care?
Right, and I'm not trying to tell you that the budget issues were that much better a few years ago when that decision was made.
Right.
But they're even worse now. You've just got 3 sports. Oh, by the way, do you know who you're still paying their buyout?
Who?
Craig Neal.
Yeah.
So, not only are you talking about, well, we got to pay a $1.3 million buyout to Davie, for the rest of this year, you're still paying Craig Neal.
Yeah, no, I hear you. You have I see the reason.
And not till the end of the year, the rest of this fiscal year, so into next year.
I see the reason why you, and it's all monetary, why you keep Bob Davie. I do. But I'm going to tell you another thing too, and we discussed this. I mean, you busted my hump on this a few times, and other people have not going to the games.
Yeah,
because I have.
You're part of the problem.
I have no interest. I really have no interest.
So that interest automatically comes back full force if they were to fire Davie.
No, and this is kind of where I'm going to, because I'm not the only one. How many people? And I text you because I know you're at the stadium. And I know the announced crowds, but I text you during the game and I say, hey, how many people are actually there, do you think? And you've been saying, I think the San Diego State game, I think you said, I think there's about 8,000, 9,000.
Maybe.
And then what was the game after that? Was that
Boise?
Boise, you said, I think there may be like around maybe 7,000, 8,000. And I think this last game you were down to like 6,000?
5 to 6.
Yeah, 5 to 6.
And
okay.
Look, you also had about 1,500, 2,000 Wyoming fans there too.
Right. Yeah. So, Wyoming traveled pretty well because they showed it on television. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of yellow up in that on that east side of the stadium. So, my point is, I don't think I'm the only fan that is checked out of Lobo football. Core group fan, long-term fan that's excited, that had passion for Lobo football. That all of a sudden I'm finding other things to do on a Saturday morning, a Saturday afternoon. I'm not tailgating, which most people haven't tailgated anymore. I'm not going to the stadium anymore. I found other things to do. And I'm not the only one. I know a lot of fans that have done that. You know it too, because you see the lack of butts in the seats. How many of those people are going to come back?
And that was the question I asked you. I was like, all right, so you bite the bullet. Somehow you scrape up $1.3 million.
Right.
Or you cut more money going to the various programs to get this $1.3 million. You go out and hire a new head coach. Or do the people just show back up?
No, and that's a problem. But here's the thing. Once again, just like I said with the money, just like I'm going to say with the core group or the attendance thing, if you don't dump Bob Davie at this point, how many more people take off?
And I don't disagree with you.
And how much longer does it take to get those people back when you eventually do fire the guy?
Here's the deal, though.
Yeah.
If you're sitting at home and you're watching your big 60-inch TV and the TV dies.
I'm not that rich.
Right. Well, work with me.
50 inch.
All right, 50-inch. The TV dies.
Yeah.
Crap, I need a new TV.
Yeah.
Well, you need a new TV because that's the only one you've got, but you've only got $100 in your pocket. How are you getting that new TV? You're not.
No.
So you're staring at a blank screen. But so point being, all right, and I get the sentiment, and there's certainly validity to it. The fans have left. It's been 2 straight bad seasons. You got to get rid of him. You don't have the money to get rid of him. Unless that money falls from the sky, or everybody's pulling their money over there at the Maloof building and they're buying lotto tickets. I don't know where that money's coming from. So to me, the whole should he stay, should he go, that conversation is almost a non-starter, because until you've got that money, you can have all the discussions you want about it, but the reality is you couldn't pull the trigger on it even if you wanted to.
I think Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And
You know-
then there's the replacement coach situation. What are you going to pay something like that? I know people have been talking about Cliff Kingsbury recently
not
fired from Texas Tech.
That's not
No,
happening.
Rich Rodriguez, that's not happening. Your only hope is to find a young, kind of like they did with basketball. You find a young coach that's ready to cut his teeth and is going to come in
Doug
at a bargain
Martin?
price. No.
Oh.
New Mexico State basketball.
Right, no,
and
but
Paul
that's
Weir.
what I thought you meant. That's where they found
Doug
Weir,
Martin,
right?
Yeah, you're saying
Yeah.
Doug Martin. I'll tell you what, I hear Doug Martin on radio, and I
Yeah.
hear his, and he's in a worse situation, I think, than Bob Davie is. But that guy has a whole different mindset about the whole thing, about what the situation that he's in. He understands the situation, and he's willing to work through it.
Well,
And I don't see that coming from up north here.
well, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
They're playing, I think, 3 money games next year.
Yeah.
Also, if you look at their schedule, even if they have a great year, they're not winning more than 4 games.
Right.
So but now you've got a whole different set of issues there, and that's probably a whole different conversation. Here, you know, you're an independent down there, so you're just doing what you can to fill out the schedule.
Right.
You're trying to pay back down your debt, so you're taking the money games, and that's fine. I've got no problems with what they're doing. But taking the conversation back to New Mexico, all right, maybe you can set Boise State aside a little bit because they're consistently year in and year out really good. I have yet to hear anybody explain to me any valid reason why UNM couldn't and shouldn't, year in and year out, be competitive with the Wyomings, the Colorado States, the Utah States, even the San Diego States to a degree. Because, all right, sure, it's difficult to recruit here. It's a unique place. Do you know what else is a unique place? Laramie, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Logan, Utah.
Yeah.
Fort Collins, Colorado.
Hey, you know what? I mean, Boise is a unique place.
It is, but you know what? They've got so much foundation built there.
Right.
And they've gone through coaching changes as coaches, better themselves at other opportunities. But the foundation is laid there. They have a bad season. It's 7 or 8 wins.
That's true. Hey, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more Red Menace TV.
They're going to go to the air here, and it's picked off and punched in. A Cardinals touchdown. They go to the air out of their own end zone, and Felix Gonzalez delivers a pick six. Come on now. If you saw, I trusted you. I trusted you. You saw what I was writing down here. Oh! Wide open, Robertson to the sideline and to the house. Touchdown, Bears. Nasir. Blitz to the near side. Now they back out a little bit. They're going to throw it deep. Has a man out there. Ball is caught.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
To the house. Touchdown. Santa Rosa still looking to get on the board. Sanchez at the 4. He's across to the 40. Sanchez across midfield. A lot of room on the sideline. One more to beat. And Santa Rosa's on the board. 96 yards on the return for Steven Sanchez. Times they're going to go back to the air, and it's complete. All the way for the score is for the Tigers. Hey, looking, he's going to throw it up, throws it in the end zone. Ball is caught. Touchdown. Frost going to hand this, fake the handoff, going around for the score. Is he holding on? Yes!
Arnott's throwing. It is a first down. To Stevens. Stevens still on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown near the pylon. That's touchdown. open. Cut. Touchdown. 4th and 11, and they convert. 22-yard touchdown pass.
So Deathridge is going to work in the pistol, and he's going to quarterback keep it, and he's got a lot of room. Look out, Deathridge still on his, and he's going to take it to the 10, to the 5, and in.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or DreamstyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Welcome back to Red Menace TV. You brought up a great point, Mike.
What's that?
As soon as we were off, you said, 12 years ago? They're talking about remodeling the football stadium, actually pouring money into the program, building it up, and what happened to that money?
Well, yeah, that kind of got pushed to the side.
Where did it go?
Oh, it went across the street.
Oh, what? How did that work out for UNM?
Well, it improved the pit.
Yeah?
Now,
did it improve attendance or money?
Well, you got those nice suites.
How did that help? How did that help out the budget?
I hear you. I hear you.
Always backwards. New Mexico's always been backwards. We keep pouring money into the basketball stadium, or basketball arena, excuse me, leaving football to be the redheaded stepchild.
But you don't have to forsake one to improve the other. You know,
was the pit fine before they built before they did the remodel?
No.
Actually, it was. People were still going. People filled up the pit. They still went in. And nothing's gotten bad.
If you had kept winning and Neil didn't have those down years and you had to make the coaching change, people would have still continued.
Probably.
The people didn't stop coming because you renovated the pit.
I think there was
people stopped coming.
There was 2 parts.
People stopped coming because the program slid.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Alfred was here, I don't think that they sold out the Steve Alfred. He's at UCLA now.
Alfred.
Anyway, well, Alfred was here. I think the last 2 years they didn't sell out the pit either, and they were winning then. They didn't sell out the pit constantly because they had those seats upstairs. Not the. Well, we know those weren't sold out or paid for, but the black seats, the cushioned ones, I don't know, is it still called the mezzanine? The $100 seats or whatever.
You plopping down $100 for a seat?
No, absolutely not. That's why I'm saying you took out the seats of the mezzanine that people went and filled up, and put in these box seats that not only weren't paid for, that didn't go to, and the $100 seats that nobody paid for.
But hang on, those were like $5 tickets. So,
that's fine. They were still filled.
So $100 seat equates 20 of the old seats.
That's fine.
So, you know,
that's fine.
Monetarily, that probably didn't hurt.
But then you also have to, and I know they don't get a percentage of every hot dog, Lobo dog sold, or soda pop, or water, or popcorn. They do get parking. So,
which you weren't getting then either. Because that came about right before Alfred left, because Alfred got mad because Krebs tried to say, well, we got to charge for parking to pay for Alfred's raise. If you recall, that was the downfall there.
I know. Alfred wanted more money, and he was mad because of that, and hence the term L fraud. However, you do that, you still have those seats. People would have paid. People would have still come. People did go.
But here's the problem. You really like your left hand. So because you like your left hand, you're taking your right hand and you're putting it in the doorway, and you're taking your left hand and you're just slamming the damn door on your hand. You don't have to hate basketball because
I'm not hating basketball. I like basketball. I want it to succeed and grow. But there were plans to make this football program. Now look, being a semi-historian of Lobo football, we were one of the last schools to ever go. We did the one platoon football. We were one of the last schools to change to where we actually had a full complement of team, where you had offense and defense. They used to play Ironman football. We were one of the last. You see schools like Arizona State, that BYU, well, no, BYU is independent, but TCU, Utah, that ended up in better programs because they invested money in football. You brought up Boise State. We see Boise State now, but we have to remember it wasn't that far long ago when they were D2, JUCO, really small, but they started pouring money into the football program, and it built up to the point now that it's pretty much one of the top non-P5 schools year in and year out in the country. That didn't happen overnight. That happened by investment and growth, something UNM has never done here. We keep investing money in basketball, always have. There was a point where they were talking about, and this is back when Bob King was here, where they were talking about, should we invest in the pit or should we invest in the football stadium? They didn't invest in one, or they invested in one. That's fine. You know, the pit's been successful for UNM, it really has, but it hasn't grown the rest of the program as we see now in 2018. Things have changed.
Sure. Does University Stadium need some renovation? It certainly does. But let me ask you this.
Well, you can't do it now because you don't have the money. And was that going to bring
Let's say you did have the money.
Okay.
So they tear out those bleachers. They put in some nice $100 cushy seats like you were talking about over at the pit.
Yeah.
You buying season tickets?
No, but I mean, here.
Well, there you go.
Not me,
well,
but I mean,
there you go. Well, hold on. You've been going to games for 35 years,
but
until you quit on them this year.
I sit in the end zone now, and I used to sit on the sidelines with Rudy.
The $75 cushy seats, then.
Yeah, I would buy the cheap seats. But here's the thing: when they did invest in football, when they did build that the north section, the Red Menace, where we started the Red Menace, and they put the video screen up there. It did lead to, now granted, Rocky was here, they started winning some games, they became bowl eligible, they even went to a few bowls, they even won one. People were coming to the games. It did lead a little bit to increase in attendance. It really did.
For a little while, but look, and look, I'm not knocking Rocky at all, but even during his tenure, attendance started dropping.
It did. It did.
No, so certainly not like it has now, but I mean, when I first got here, you constantly had over 30,000 for the football games.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I do believe that what we're talking about now and what we talked about in the first segment, we're talking about the core segment of fans now. There was always that group of like 10 to 12,000 that showed up. Reference your time. Even when Loxley was here, you still had that 10,000 that butts in the seats that actually showed up to games. We're not seeing those guys anymore. We're not seeing those people anymore. There's 5,000 people in the stadium. And you mentioned which day was Razzle Dazzle? Because that always brings out. I don't know. It was one of the games. You had the Razzle Dazzle. That's good for, a couple, maybe 2,000-3,000 people right there when you count in parents and family of these little girls. Once that performance was over, poof, they're gone. I think that was the San Diego State game.
Might have been.
And then poof, they're gone, and you end up with like 2,000 people in the stadium. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know where it starts, and I don't envy Eddie Nunez at all.
It's certainly tough. But here's the thing, and this gets to the point. Even the year they won 7 games under Davey, even the following year when they won 9 games and won the Gildan New Mexico Bowl. Do you know what happened attendance-wise each of those 2 years? It went down.
Yeah, and we talked about that.
So, again, when you're trying to determine, when you're UNM, are we going to try to scrape up $1.3 million and buy Davey out? There's no guarantees. And look, some people, certainly you'll have more than what the actual numbers were in the seats the last few games. But realistically, how many people are coming back right away? Yeah, no, you're right. And then after whatever hypothetical new coach might come in, and it takes them a year or two to get things going, and you start winning, then how many fans are coming back?
I hear you.
It's tough.
I hear you. It's just like, how long do you put that off, though? I mean, it's gonna happen eventually. I mean, eventually, Bob Day, whether he gets canned this year, next year, or the year after, it's gonna happen. I mean, It's just a matter of when do you do it and what do you lose in the process of just trying to hold on. Like you said,
big hypothetical.
What's the billboard that's on I-25 this year or the posters? Just hold on, hold on one more year, fans.
Davies back next year, hypothetically.
Yeah.
They win 7 games. They go to a bowl. They win their bowl game. That they finish with 8 wins.
Mm-hmm.
You coming back then?
Am I coming back then? I don't know. It depends on what I found to do. Like I said, I've been enjoying high school football and basketball now.
So why do you think anybody else would come back?
Oh, I'm with you.
So when you're trying to determine what you're doing, that's one of the things you got to figure out. Right, attendance is bad right now. How much better does it get after we fork out $1.3 million to buy him out?
I'm with you. It's going to take
fork out $750,000 or more to hire somebody else.
It's going to take a good 2 to 3 years, irregardless. Now, do you start the 2-3 year gamble now? Or do you start the 2-3 year gamble 3 years from now?
No, I hear you, and that's what they're ultimately going to have to determine.
Right. It's like when do we want to roll the bones? That's it. When do you roll the dice? Do you roll the dice now, or do you roll the dice in 2 years and hope that your 7,000, I mean, I don't know, that are showing up now doesn't become 1,000 or 2,000? I said this, oh gosh, I think Loxley was still here. Maybe then, maybe sooner. It's like, we're really closer to New Mexico State than we are to Boise State. And everyone's like, oh, no. And it's like, look, here we are. We are right there near New Mexico State. So much closer than we are to even Utah State at this point.
Yeah, at this point, again, you just got to get back where you're consistently competitive with Colorado State.
Just get close to 500.
Yeah.
I mean, just get close to 500. I mean, or you know what? Just get to the point where if you're going to go to the stadium, you're not expecting to get blown out by 30-plus points every game. Because that's the way this season rolled out.
And that's probably fair. That's probably more than fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even saying let's be competitive. Let's just not get blued out every single game. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. Micah Franco will be back to talk about one of the things that's kind of bleeding maybe New Mexico sports here, MMA. You love MMA.
I do love MMA.
I know a lot of people here in this state do. And you know what? It's good because why? They put on a good product, both locally and internationally as well. So maybe that's where everyone's at. Maybe they should have big MMA things at the football stadium.
Maybe.
They'd probably get more people than they would for a Lobo football game. We'll be back after this.
At Gala Chevrolet, our master technicians service every make and model no matter where you purchase your vehicle. But that's not all. We also provide certified service on every GM model. So if your car's been acting a little funny lately or something just doesn't seem right, don't wait. Bring it in to the most modern service facility in the entire state and let us make sure that you're driving a vehicle you and your family can depend on. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
The Barley Brew, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering, let us bring our kitchen to you.
This is Coach Borrego of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello to all you parents out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to congratulate 38 years for the AYBL. You guys are doing a great job. You've shaped a lot of lives, young men and women, and you'll continue to do that. Parents, get involved, sign your kid up. It's a great program. It helped shape who I am today, helped shape me as a basketball player, as a coach. So get out there, sign them up. Have a great season. Good luck to everybody.
It's time to make your plans to be at New Mexico's premier annual sports event. The 13th annual New Mexico Bowl is Saturday, December 15th, high noon at Dreamstyle Stadium. I'm Jeff Symbieta, Executive Director of the New Mexico Bowl. Be with us as once again college football's bowl season kicks off right here in Albuquerque. Bring your friends, bring your colleagues, host your holiday party at the New Mexico Bowl. It's annually one of the most exciting games of college football's postseason. Bottom line, it's a whole lot of fun. Visit NewMexicoBowl.com or call 925-5999, the New Mexico Bowl, where bowl season begins.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Youth basketball should be safe, organized, have an environment that's conducive to teaching and learning, have expert coaches, and most of all, the players must have fun. Our league starts November 3rd for ages 5 to age 17. It's an 8-week program. The cost is $150. That includes the uniform. Call MJ at 710-7005 or go to swbbcamp.net.
You'll never forget the first. It's special. It's exciting. Very few things are more exciting and special than college football's postseason. The FBS Bowl season begins in a special place with an exciting game. The New Mexico Bowl once again kicks off bowl season on Saturday, December 15th in Albuquerque at Dream Style Stadium at noon. Bring your friends. Bring your family. Host your holiday party at the New Mexico Bowl. Annually one of the best events of the year. Visit NewMexicoBowl.com or call 925-5999. The New Mexico Bowl, where bowl season begins.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Micah Frankel, welcome to Cage Minds, the place where we talk about people getting punched in the face. Last weekend was a busy weekend of MMA action globally, as you had 1 championship in the Philippines, a huge event, 2 title fights. Now the 2-time lightweight champion with a unanimous decision win. Edward Furlong, the first athlete to accomplish that goal in 1 championship. Also defending the heavyweight title of the world, Brendan Vera, a 1-punch left hook knockout. First time back in the cage in 10 years, a huge successful return for Vera. Then you also had UFC action, and the UFC took place in China. Early morning with heavyweights at the top of the card. You had Alistair Overeem handing the debuting Sergey Pavlyuchev a TKO loss, tripped him down, got on top into the side control, vicious ground and pound for the quick stoppage. And in the main event, the 6-fight win streak of Curtis Blades comes to an end by the big overhand right of Francis Ngannou. Some follow-up punches came later in a scramble, but it was Ngannou with a dominant performance, getting back to his winning ways after the loss to Miocic and the horrible performance against Derek Lewis. We have a whole new heavyweight division with Ngannou back in the mix, with Blades taking a step back. Now we get to look forward to an even bigger weekend of action coming up this weekend. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention real quick last weekend, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell 3. It did finally happen. Ortiz knocked out Chuck Liddell It's crowning achievement for what he desired in MMA, getting that grudge finally settled. It was a big win emotionally for Tito Ortiz in a fight that, again, we don't know if it should happen, but that leads into a weekend that should be happening. I mean, let's talk about nationally first, on the big stage, on the big scene. We can start off in Las Vegas. You have the Tough 28 finale. You'll crown heavyweight and female featherweight tough winners, not to mention local fighter, New Mexico's Fit NHB's Tim Means taking on Ricky Rainey on the prelims. In the main event, a top welterweight matchup with Kamaru Usman and Rafael Dos Anjos. Also on Friday night, you have LFA in Dallas, Texas, where you're going to see the men's and women's bantamweight titles on the line. You have Miles Johns, who's undefeated, and Adrian Yanez fighting for the men's bantamweight title. Sarah Alpar and Jocelyn Edwards dueling it out for the women's bantamweight crown. You also have Bellator action Friday night, Bellator 210, Thackerville, Oklahoma, a stacked prelim card that features names like Joe Warren, Joe Schilling, Goichi Yamauchi, Daniel Weichel, a really great prelim card for the Bellator event in Oklahoma. The main event, middleweights, grappler John Salter against striker Chidi Njokuani. So you have that. Also Friday night, like I said, a big weekend of action. We move over to Saturday, where you have big-time boxing going on. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, the WBC heavyweight title on the line. Garrett Hurd also on that card, not to mention the return of the Ghost Robert Guerrero. You also have UFC action Saturday night. The UFC is in Adelaide, that's South Australia, where you're going to see the main event, Sagano Junior Dos Santos taking on Taya Tuivasa in the main event. Co-main event, also heavyweight action, Justin Willis versus the legendary knockout artist Mark Hunt. And former champion Shogun Rua takes on our friend here that we've had around in Albuquerque before at the Jackson Wink Academy, Tyson Pedro. So that is UFC in Adelaide. That is on the big scene, not to mention Bellator in Italy with a kickboxing and MMA card. So much action that we haven't even got to the local scene yet, but that's where there's a ton of more action going on this weekend. Friday night is Letta Casino. You have Fight Night 4. Steve Mean Machine Garcia, who was our guest a couple weeks ago, taking on Abel Cullum in the main event. Saturday night, we have boxing, Legacy Boxing Promotions, which you can see right here on ProView Networks. Josh Pitbull Torres and Muhammad Rodriguez in the main event. Papitas Escobar returns, not to mention Jose Luis Sanchez. A great card there of boxing, leading us up to Sunday, where there's another MMA card. King the Cage is at the Santa Ana Star Center. We had Sherwin Price on recently to talk about his main event title defense. And now to also talk about that upcoming King of the Cage Starbound 2 card, our guest this week from Pettis Fighting Systems, Gene the Kid Pettis. How you doing, sir?
Good, good. And you, Micah?
Great, great. Thanks for joining me today. I mean, I gave this guy an award last year, CageMinds.com, our 2017 awards for basically the most chutzpah. This guy really will fight anyone, anywhere, any sport, anytime. Tell us about that mentality.
Yes, with that, where I come with that, a lot of that comes from my brother. I wasn't really a fighter back when I first started. Wasn't really into it. I was really more into like just being friends with everyone, being cool. And my brother one day came home and he told me if I wanted to fight. And that since that day, my mind's changed about fighting. And I don't really want to say it's like fighting. I try to say it like it's like a sport. So to me, I took on a whole different sport. I wasn't able to play sports in high school, so this is basically my time where I get to shine a little bit.
And you've done it, whether it's the ring or the cage. I believe, what, we're talking about 30 fights probably combined between the two different sports right now?
Yes, already about 32 fights already. 32 pro fights as well, with boxing and MMA.
What kind of mentality does that take to do what you're doing? I mean, last weekend, you were in a boxing ring on 2 weeks' notice, And here with about, what are we talking? This has actually been about a month's notice or so. Yeah. You're going to head into an MMA fight this weekend. How do you do that?
It's something that I adapted to. I was basically fighting still. I was a senior in high school. I had 3 fights when I was a senior. So it's basically almost became like a natural thing for me to be doing. You know, there's some guys that are framers. They can go and get up and hit a frame and hit a hammer like it's no tomorrow, or they can go and lay cement, and they could go and do their other jobs like it's nothing. But to me, this is my job. This is what I do. Some other people might not say it's a job. Some people might say it's something stupid as a job, but this is something I like to do, and this is something I love to do.
Now, also, I heard that looking ahead to future endeavors, you aspire to have a bare knuckle boxing match. Why is that something that you want to go out and try?
It's just something I've always looked up into since I was about 8th grade. I've always watched the fights, the Ultimate Fighter, even just watching Diego Sanchez when he was first starting the Ultimate Fighter. And then it's just started watching fights on the internet, and it came, bare knuckle fighting was on there. And it became like boxing, but it's not really like boxing. But I try to treat it like that, so to me it was like a sport. Some people, that's all they have to do, something that's all they give forward to. So.
In the boxing world, definitely, we've seen you take on every prospect in the state, man. What has it been like for you getting in these top-level matchups? I mean, I believe you fought from Jason Sanchez to Brandon Holmes to, man, anybody else that can go from about 140 to 125 pounds.
Yes, you know, a lot of people say, why are you taking those big fights, or why are you taking those fights like that? I should try to build myself up. A lot of these promoters around here, they don't like to build me up. They like to build up their fighters that they have. And if it's a little bit bigger, steeper of a hill to go to, then that's something I have to do. And that's something that makes me. And I know if I would have got those W's and some of those wins, then I would be the big talk. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to go out there, and I'm trying to go in there and put the work in there, trying to get the big W.
You've had some of the best fights that we've seen out here. You take these guys to the limits each time. How have you been able to deal with some of those decisions where I've been shocked ringside to see they haven't went your way?
Some of those losses, they took me a little bit by the heart a lot. I'm not going to sit there and cry about them, but, you know, I'll just work my butt off a little bit more when I get back to the gym. But there are some fights that are a little bit close. It could have went either way. But I just need not to be leaving them to the decisions and just be taking the W right away.
And now, for this one, you're stepping back in the cage, taking on another guy that we've seen around the scene for quite a while in Joshua Montoya. This fight's going to be crazy, I believe. What's your expectations come Sunday night?
My expectations, what I'm hearing from him is that he'll be willing to stand. I'm hoping that he's willing to stand. A lot of people's minds change a little bit after a while because I do have a boxing background. And people get a little bit scared of my kicks because they don't expect too much of my kicks. But I hope he's there and ready to stand and bang. If not, I'm ready for the ground too. Everyone underestimates my ground game. I've been working my ground game a lot. It's just finally starting to come together. So I'll be ready in any way that this fight goes.
Fighting out of Berlin, Pettis Fighting System, what does it mean to have what you guys have done for that community, to have really done something positive for Berlin, and to be a little bit of a local star there? What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Like, really means a lot to go out there and even help adults, to help kids, to learn the basic little things, even if it's not even with the sport of MMA, just even teaching them how to respect people, even just teaching them how to treat one another. And it's really taken a lot on us, and it's showed me a lot, and I still learn when I go back in, when I work with the kids. It's the basic things. Some of the basic stuff you don't ever want to forget to do. So to me, it's taught me a lot, and it's teaching me a lot.
You and your brother run the gym. You and your brother have been in this endeavor side by side since the beginning. Is it strange, like on Sunday, a card where you're both going to be fighting on it instead of in each other's corners? What's the differences there?
It's not really too much of big hassle or a big change for me. It's me and my brother. We've been in the ring sometimes in the boxing ring or the MMA. We've been in there together. Even when he was an amateur and I was a pro, sometimes we were fighting on the same cards, and it wasn't really too bad. We adapt to our coaches, and sometimes that's why it's really good to have everyone in the corner. Sometimes when we're sparring just in class, to adapt, to learn how to listen to someone else.
Sunday night, how do you get the W?
I'm going to be pushing it. I'm going to be working him. I'm going to be trying to get the stoppage, first, second, or third round, even if it's in the third round. I'm going to be trying to knock him out. And if not, I've been working my ground game, so my submission game will be there as well.
Awesome, awesome. Everybody, it is a big weekend for combat sports. I ran off the slew of events that is nationally, locally, like I said, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, whether it's you get out to Isleta, to the Manuel Lujan Complex, or the Santa Ana Star Center, come on out, watch some fights, and support your local fighters. There'll be more Red Menace TV in just a moment.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Here, and it's picked off and punched in. A Cardinals touchdown. They go to the air out of their own end zone, and Felix Gonzalez delivers a pick six. Come on now. If you saw, I trusted you. I trusted you. You saw what I was writing down. Oh, wide open Robertson to the sideline and to the house. Touchdown Bears. Nasir. Blitz to the near side. Now they back out a little bit. They're going to throw it deep. Has a man out there. Ball is caught.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
To the house. Touchdown. Sanchez across midfield. A lot of room on the sideline. One more to beat, and Santa Rosa's on the board. 96 yards on the return for Steven Sanchez. Sometimes they're going to go back to the air, and it's complete. All the way for the score is for the Tigers. Hey, looking, he's gonna throw it up, throws it in the end zone. Ball is caught. Touchdown. Frost gonna hand this, fake the handoff, going around for the score. Is he holding on? Yes!
Arnott's throwing. It is a first down to Stevens. Stevens still on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown near the pylon. That's touchdown. Fakes the jet sweep. Lucero under pressure. Receiver open. Cut. Wow. Touchdown. 4th and 11, and they convert. 20
Look out, Deathridge still on his, and he's going to take it to the 10, to the 5, and in.
Hey, welcome back for the final segment today of Red Menace TV. Hey, I didn't want to be all doom and gloom and sadness and depression.
You didn't?
No, I didn't want it to be that way. It just seems like when we wrap up Lobo football, it just seems like that's the way it goes. But I do want to talk about some exciting stuff. Lobo basketball, of course, has tipped off officially. I know we talked about it the past couple of weeks, but now that football, that we could put the 2018 football campaign behind us somewhat, though we didn't put off even 2017 and everything that happened after that. But anyway, basketball, UTEP, great game Saturday night. I thought it was a great game.
It was a fun game for sure. Lobos get the win, 84-78. Maybe it was a little closer than some Lobo fans wanted, but in the end, you come away with a victory and a good crowd at the pit too.
Yeah, so Twitter was exploded. They were like irritated during the entire game. Calls of this week during the show?
Oh, it's been all about football, dude.
Oh, it has?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay, cool. So, so really no talk about the UTEP game? Because on Twitter, people were like, oh, this defense is terrible. Where's Manigault? Why is this? And it's just like, dang. Well, all you got to do is watch the last 2 minutes of a basketball game. You're gold.
So it's not just a bad football fan that you're just a bad sports fan all around.
No, I love sports. I watched the entire basketball game. I thought it was great. I just don't get too hung up in the first half, even in the second half, the first like 15 minutes of a score, because everything changes. As soon as it condenses in that last few minutes of a basketball game, things change fast, because Lobos were down against UTEP, and everyone was like ticked off on Twitter. Now it's Twitter, so we don't know how many of those are New Mexico State bots, like Russian bots, but they're NMSU bots.
Yes.
I don't know how many were there, but it's just like, calm down. Just Weir's terrible. This defense sucks. Blah. It's like, just see what happens.
To be fair to the Twitter folk, they did get exploited by another small guard. But look, you're 4 games into the season.
Right.
You're going to be fine. The most important thing is you came away with a victory. The team's coming together. You're 2.5, 3 weeks out from getting Carlton Bragg, eligible finally. So that's going to be another piece. Personally, I like what I've seen so far.
I have too. I like it. It's exciting, and I do like the way he does the rotation as far as starters and stuff. I know that bugs a lot of people, but I think it's cool.
I don't like that. Me now, and he's the coach and I'm not, and he's winning games and I'm just talking about them.
Okay.
To me,
you're winning the radio battles.
Sure, but it would seem like you'd get a little more consistency if you had a more settled starting lineup. But you know what? It worked out last year. It's worked out so far this year. So who am I to judge?
Yeah, no, I just think it's exciting. They won. Of course, the women play Oklahoma tonight in I was going to say Wise Pies, but that's long gone.
Dreamstyle Arena.
Yes, Dreamstyle Arena at the Pit. I think that'll be fun for women's basketball fans. I think Lobo basketball is on a definite upswing. I think things are going to be exciting. The Mountain West Conference is really good this year. That can't do nothing but bode well for the entire conference and money-wise, because you get more teams in the NCAA tournament, hopefully. And the RPI will help teams like New Mexico and Utah State's really good. Or I'm sorry, Nevada's really good. Yeah. So I think it'll help. But hey, I do want to, before we go and we're about to take off, I just want to remind everyone, don't forget this week, Championship Weekend on NFHS Network with the Proview guys. And I want to do one of these to you because you were absolutely right. You said Dallas would be in first place in the NFC East. And indeed they are.
I didn't want to be right.
Right, exactly. But you are. Hey, for Michael Carlisle, for my man Josh Alden, have a great day off. It's Leroy Lucero. We'll see you next week on Red Menace TV. God bless you all.